Courage 1000 Project, the podcast for women seeking the courage to take the next steps in life. My name is MellyS The Story Collector, and I am on a mission to normalise the emotional cycles all women experience, so we can end the patterns of shame and guilt that are leaving us stuck, held back and disempowered from making the next chapter of our lives magical.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Courage 1000 Project. And today we have the gorgeous Lynn Coleman in with us, and she's going to be sharing her story about allowing yourself to become visible. But before I bring her up, I want to give her a proper introduction. So Lynn Coleman helps online trainers, coaches and healers to create and grow their epic business with copywriting, coaching and tech. She's a certified Master Persuader and best-selling co-author of Women Like Me, Stories of Courage and Resilience. She helps female entrepreneurs feel more at home in the spotlight, take their space, and take charge in their business. Originally from the UK, she lives in the Netherlands with 2 teenagers and 2 cats and strives against all odds to start her day with a tidy kitchen. So welcome to the show, Lynn.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you for staying up so late, because it is 1 a.m. where you are right now.
It is. But it's been a big night over here. There's been, we've got the European Championship, European Cup with football going on. So there's been things going on. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I won't pick on you if you yawn at all.
It's nothing personal. It really isn't. Yeah.
Now, you wanted to share your story today about allowing yourself to become more visible. So I'd love to know, where did the invisibility start for you?
Well, it started back in 2006. I'd left my husband. It was a really nasty situation. I'd had to flee. So I'd had to go with 2 little kids. So I had one of 2, one of 4, and we had I had a rucksack and a carrier bag and a doll and a potty and 2 little kids, and off we went. And that was it. So we were fleeing. So that's where my story starts. And we were hiding, basically, because
so of course you'd want to be invisible then. You want to stay away from this situation. You don't want to be seen.
No. I mean, I actually chose to go somewhere where I thought I couldn't be found. I mean, the Netherlands is not a big country. You know, it's not like Australia. It's a tiny place. But I just wanted to get away and get somewhere where I thought, well, I'm not likely to be found. So I found a place in the other corner of the country, and that's where we went. You know, and then I tried to learn how to hide. I literally taught myself how to hide, and it's not easy. No, in this day and age, it's not easy to hide.
No, not when we're so connected to each other via social media and all the other stuff that goes on in the world. Yeah, you really can't hide anymore. No,
I mean, if you don't have social media, then it's almost like you don't exist, isn't it? Which is crazy, of course. But you know, it's the way it seems, and you can be traced in so many ways. That's what I found out, because I was trying to work out. Okay, so if I don't want to be found, even for really legitimate reasons, safety reasons, am I able to make sure that I can't be found? And it was incredibly difficult. It was really difficult. Yeah. The things you have to think about, even like bank statements. We had a joint bank account, and they wouldn't change. I was the main breadwinner, but they wouldn't change I was the only breadwinner, to be honest. I don't know why I'm saying the main. I was the only breadwinner. So, and I wanted to change the address on my bank statements, but I couldn't without something going to the place where he still was, because we'd fled, without a letter going there to say, do you have the permission that your bank statements are now going to this address, which I didn't want them to do. Yeah. So wow, that's really difficult. All of that stuff. I mean, it was before you could just look on internet for everything. So different time, but it was really hard to be hidden. Yeah. Really hard. How long did you have to hide for? What I wanted to do was hide for a year because I'd come out of a situation where I'd been at work and my partner had been at home, and I'd had to flee and take the kids, and to make sure that the kids were going to be able to stay with me, I needed to establish a new situation. So, and I knew that was going to be 12 months. So I set myself a goal of hiding for 12 months.
Yeah.
To see what I could do. It didn't work, by the way, but that was my goal.
Yeah. So how did you then reprogram yourself? Because obviously you're not hiding anymore.
No.
At what point did that all change?
Well, your world gets smaller in that kind of a situation. You know, if you're avoiding things all the time, then your world just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And I've always been somebody who wants to live life. And, you know, I traveled a lot and always wanted to have new experiences and learn new things. So I started to feel really sort of grumpy and small, and I was very nervous for a long time. I mean, it took me several years to get out of this, but I got to a point where I just got really I didn't like myself anymore. That's basically what it boiled down to. I thought, I don't know who I am anymore. I used to be interesting and fun, and now it's, you know, there's a noise outside. Oh, what's happening? And I felt like a shadow of, you know, they say shadow of your former self. That's what it felt like. Yeah.
And how did you get past that? That's not easy. That's not easy to live with.
It's not. I mean, it was 5 years of just struggle. You know, I had to set up a new home with the kids, try and set up a new sort of existence, and after 5 years, I thought, you know, I want to live again. I'm surviving, and I want to start living again. And how am I going to do that? And a friend of mine had been talking about somebody called Byron Katie, and I thought, I don't know about that. I wasn't entirely convinced, but the kids had gone. They had contact with their father again, and they were away at his house for a couple of weeks. And I just saw that she was coming to Amsterdam, and I thought, okay, right, let's give it a go. So I didn't have very much money. I just about had the money to get there, and then went to an event, and it just changed everything. It was one day, and it changed it all around. Yeah, it was amazing.
What was the big thing from that day that changed for you?
What Byron Katie talks about is, you know, there is a state where you are absolutely a victim of a circumstance, you know, and that you bear no responsibility for being in that situation. That's bad luck, you know, or whatever, to be in that situation. But there comes a point where you hang on to it. Not everybody does it, but you can hang on to it, and then it can become like, it can be, you know, and then you can really sort of dig into it and then not be able to let go of it. And that's the point that I got to. It become so much part of who I was. Yeah. But it wasn't really who I was. So it was, you know, it was confusing. And she has wonderful techniques for helping you rethink things. Yeah. She takes you through step by step. And so I was just doing these exercises, you know, writing things down. And I realized, oh my God, what's happening now? You know, the fear and the anxiety and everything. I'm doing this to myself now. Yeah.
So you were no longer the victim, but you maintained a victim mentality.
Yeah. 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 And and it's really easy to do. Yeah. Because, you know, it's a habit. You just, I mean, you've been through something traumatic, and then you have to re-find your feet and get everything going. And, you know, it's a really, really tough thing to have to do. and I think you don't even necessarily notice when you've slid over to, actually, I'm a bit too involved in this story. I'm hanging on to it and not moving on. So that just, I know something happened. I just realized, oh, this is so silly. I've got to stop doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, that victim mentality. You've got to get to that point where you're over your own shit, to say it nicely.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. And I just got fed up with myself. I just thought, I'm going around in circles and repeating things, and I was annoying myself. And right, I've got to find a way out of this. Yeah. And that's what happened. In fact, I phoned my ex on that particular day after the end of the day, and it turned out that he and the kids happened to be in Amsterdam. So we met up at the end of the day. I hadn't really talked to him if I could avoid it, pretty much. I did the necessary communication, but never had a relaxed conversation with him at all in 5 years. And
you were still in protective mode.
I was still very careful. Yeah, I was still being very, very careful. And when we met up, I think it was my daughter. She's about 7 or 8, something like that then. And she liked skipping. She loves skip. Well, she doesn't do it anymore. She's 17. She hears me say this, she'll say, "Mom, don't say that." But when she was little, she loved skipping. So she said, "Can we skip? We're in the middle of Amsterdam and she wants to skip."
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why the hell not? So there we are, skipping down the road. She's holding her brother's hand, her brother's holding her dad's hand, and I'm holding the. And there's lots of people on the terraces sitting there and smiling, and look at this happy family skipping down the road. And I was thinking, if you only knew, if you only knew. But that was like the moment where everything changed.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And I love that you took the power back in that situation and went, okay, well, I'm not going to fall victim to this anymore. No. I don't need to protect myself anymore because I'm strong enough to move forward on my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, part of the Courage 1000 project is about normalizing the emotional cycles that women go through, because I do believe that when we normalize it, we realize that, well, it's normal for one. We all go through it, and then we can claim that power back in the process. So doing the whole journey of yours, what sort of emotions came up for you? Have you recognized a cycle yet?
I mean, I think before I left, I was numb. And I did that deliberately. I can turn off emotions if I need to cope. And that's what I'd done.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was talking about an incident with a knife, and I was just saying it in a deadpan sort of a voice, then he pulled a knife out, and I told him he better put it away again or something. And I just said it in a really deadpan sort of voice. And he said, "Lynn, that's not nothing you're talking about. You're talking about, he actually pulled a knife out." And I thought, yeah, it is a bit strange that I can talk about it in this kind of a way.
Yeah. So there was a complete disconnection from the situation.
Yeah. And from the emotion. So that was, I wasn't feeling, because I couldn't afford to, because I knew I had to take a decision and, decide what to do. So I couldn't afford the emotion.
So what happened after the numbness then? Did you get angry at all?
That took a long time. The anger took a long time. It started with a lot of anxiety, fear. Yeah. I mean, I didn't sleep properly for at least a year.
Yeah.
I couldn't properly digest food for months. It was just going right through me. And, there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of worry.
Yeah.
I also worry about him, which, was, it's part of it.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And the anger that started to kick in when I saw how he was reacting to things, like when he emptied the bank account.
Yep.
And then I got furious. And then I saw that he'd been to Finland and he'd spent like 700 euros on a jacket. And I'm not entirely sure what that is in Australian dollars, but it's more, I think it's probably about 1,000 Australian dollars, something like that, on a jacket. And I thought, what? So I'm sitting in a room with plastic covered mattresses that I can't even sleep on because they're so sweaty and horrible, with two small children, both of whom are completely traumatized, and you're swanning off to bloody Finland and buying jackets. So then the anger started to kick in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened after the anger? Because I find most people after that angry phase, they find this self-reliance, and then the future possibilities start popping up. It's like, okay, what could life look like?
I don't think I was looking that far ahead. I mean, I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they were both, my daughter was really pretty traumatized to begin with. I mean, she didn't leave my hip for 3 months. And my son was angry with me. He was furious that he'd been taken away by, from his papa. And so I was just coping. I was just going from day to day, and then, but there were a lot of tears. There was a lot of and helplessness, feeling of helplessness. How the hell am I going to cope with this and deal with it all? And there was so much that needed to be done. And I knew that I was going to have to do all of it. I just, and I was just sort of like overwhelmed with, how am I going to organize my life?
Yeah. So did you get to this point then of self-acceptance after you've had this, how do I organize my life? This is my responsibility now.
Yeah.
When did that self-acceptance really drop in and go, okay, it's up to me then?
Oh, and that kind of, I've always been self-reliant. So that was just there anyway. Yeah. I mean, I was never thinking, oh, somebody else is going to do this. It was, okay, I've got to do this. But self-acceptance took a long time.
Yeah.
Because I blamed myself for what had happened.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it was not my choice. Yeah. But I think I'm pretty sure I felt I should have made a better choice, and I'd been irresponsible and made a bad choice, and this is how I'd allowed myself to get into a situation that had turned so bad, and which makes no sense whatsoever.
It's all the mind stories that we play in our head to prevent us from stepping into our power.
Yeah, and it's about, I think it's trying to feel in control. Oh, if I had done this, if I had done that, then I could have prevented this. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes, life's just a big
perspective of control.
It gives you this, this idea that you possibly could have had some control over it. But basically, sometimes life is just not great, let's put it that way. And
I truly believe the only thing we have control over is our thoughts, our actions, and what we do. We are the only thing that has control. Everything that happens outside of us is just ego perspective of control.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could possibly have prevented some of the things that he did. Like I had no influence on him. Why did I hang on to that idea for so long? I don't know.
Really, you took control. You went, I can control the situation by leaving. So you did that. So I think you had a really good sense of what control was. And then afterwards, it was like, let's unravel what I didn't have control over, but ego wants me to think I did.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I got stuck in that for quite a long time.
Yeah,
because
I can understand that. Yeah,
I've always been the sort of person who I've always been very self-reliant. A sort of person who I went traveling by myself when I was 19, and I was waiting for that. I mean, I'd spent years waiting for that moment when I could finally go. I was the sort of person, give me a rucksack, I'm off, and I'm happy, and and I'll deal with it. And I'll deal with it. Whatever happens, I'll deal with it. And I like living life like that.
Yeah.
So, so I sort of got into that habit of I'm the one who controls my life. And then sometimes you're just not.
Yes. Yeah. But in those situations, the only thing you do have control over is you. How do you deal with the situation?
Exactly.
So I would love to know, after all this has happened, where are you now? What has been the biggest thing that's come out of all of this?
The biggest thing, a big thing is that it gave me the courage to start a business.
Yeah.
Because I'd wanted to do that for years and years and years, and I kept finding reasons why I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then after this happened, and I thought, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? I could go bankrupt. Hey, if that's the worst thing, so what? So that was a really big thing. And once I let go of this feeling that I had to be in control of everything, then it started to make really that event when going to Byron Katie, when I let go of that, all of that weight on my shoulders, literally weight on my shoulders that I piled up onto my shoulders. I let go of that. That completely changed the way I looked at my life. Completely.
I love it.
I spent the first 3 weeks, I was on a cloud. I was so cheerful, and I think, wow, I've got so much ability to not just react to my feelings. I mean, it's not running away from them. It's meeting them, listening to them, and then asking yourself, well, is this helpful or not? And so it's a lot to do with kindness. So I think that was the start of my journey of being kinder to myself.
Oh, I love it. I think that's a very key thing to take from this, is that through all of this, you were learning how to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And kind to yourself by setting very firm boundaries as to what is and isn't acceptable in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I think you need those boundaries as well to be able to really step up and, be visible and all of those kind of things, which is why I'm so into visibility now. And I think this is a burden that a lot of women carry, this kind of thing, that we feel like we need to be perfect, and we need to do all of that kind of thing. So
So if you could go back in time then and face yourself at the very beginning of this whole journey, what would you say to yourself? Because I've no doubt there is somebody listening to this who is in a very similar situation to what you were.
Well, there's a couple of things. One is you're stronger than you think. You are way stronger than you think, because you're the one undergoing this, and you're keeping going. Yeah. So you are really a lot stronger than you realize. And it's okay to go. You haven't failed. Choosing yourself isn't failure. And your kids will be okay. Your kids will be okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's very powerful for somebody in the situation. Very much so. Okay. I think that is just a perfect way to sum everything up. And if you are in a similar situation or would like to get Lynn's help, please know that her information is below this video. So whether you're watching on social media, you will find it below the video. If you're listening on the podcast version, her information is in the description as well. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Lynn. It has been an absolute pleasure talking with you today.
God, it's been lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for staying up so late in order to do this.
You're very welcome. And I don't think I've yawned once.
No, you've done amazing. You've done amazing. So thank you. Now, join us next week as we continue on this mission of collecting stories of courage so you can find your own courage to take control of your life the feminine way.
If you'd like to join me on my mission to normalise the emotional and intuitive cycles all women go through, join my free community at MellyS.com.au.